Here comes the new... There goes the new Grumman.
War, they say, changes everything. But what the Grumman F8F Bearcat managed to achieve was so mind-boggling that almost everyone who knew about the plane could agree it could have changed the course of history. But what exactly is the Grumman F8F Bearcat? Why was it so beloved? And how could this one plane have had such a massive impact on the world? The year was 1943, and the world was engulfed in flames. It was the height of World War II, and the US had thrown its weight into the fight against Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. While most of the fighting took place on the ground, the skies were becoming deadlier by the day. It seemed like almost every day, faster bombers and highly maneuverable enemy fighters pushed American pilots and their aircraft to the limit. The Navy needed a game changer, the world was at stake, and the push for freedom needed something that could climb like a rocket, hit hard, and dominate the dogfights above the Pacific and beyond. That's where this cooperation comes in. Grumman Aircraft, the Iron Works, known for building some of the toughest warplanes in the entire US fleet. Their mission was simple but crucial. Create a fighter so fast and agile it would leave enemy pilots wondering what hit them. After years of planning, what they delivered in 1943 was the F8F Bearcat, a compact, fire-breathing beast designed with pure performance in mind. To create this great equalizer, engineers at Grumman took lessons from the battlefield and feedback from Navy aviators to the drawing board. They trimmed every ounce of unnecessary weight they could find, shortened the airframe, and fine-tuned the aerodynamics until the Bearcat was as lean and mean as a fighter could be. Powered by the Pratt & Whitney R2800 double Wasp, a 2,000 horsepower radial engine. This little monster could hit speeds of 424 miles per hour, or 682 kilometers per hour, and climb at an eye-watering 4,800 feet per minute. To put this into perspective, this plane could climb nearly 2 Burj Khalifas in a single minute, and Mount Everest in just 6 minutes and 3 seconds. They had finally done it, and when it took its first flight on August 21, 1944, all everyone could say was, wow. Because this wasn't just fast, it was perfect. Test pilots raved about its responsiveness and raw power, likening it to a Formula One car with wings. It could outclimb, outturn, and outrun almost anything in the sky. The Navy was so impressed that a production contract was signed almost immediately in October 1944. At the time, it seemed the Bearcat was destined to rule the skies over the Pacific and bring the fight directly to Japan. But how did it achieve such an insane feat, especially at that time? Well, it was a game of design. The Grumman F8F Bearcat was the literal meaning of aviation design, innovation, and performance. Embodying the pinnacle of piston engine fighter development, this plane ticked all the boxes. So, what exactly made it special? For one, its compact airframe, built with lightweight aluminum alloy, was meticulously engineered for speed and agility. This was achieved by using flush riveting and spot welding to minimize drag and maximize structural integrity. With a fuselage nearly 5 feet shorter than its predecessor, the F6F Hellcat, the Bearcat was ideally suited for deployment on smaller escort carriers, which, by the way, was a critical operational advantage. Then there were its wings, insanely engineered wings that featured a high aspect ratio and tapered design for optimal aerodynamic efficiency. Couple that with a folding mechanism that saved valuable deck space, and you can begin to understand why this plane changed the game. But once again, that was not all, because ingeniously, the wingtips were designed to detach under extreme G-loads, ensuring the aircraft remained flyable even in emergencies. Just to show how meticulously planned this plane was, even the bubble canopy was designed in a way that gave the pilots unparalleled visibility, essentially enhancing their situational awareness during dogfights. Now, let's talk about the engine. At its heart, the Bearcat was powered by the Pratt & Whitney R2800 double Wasp radial engine, an engine that delivered a staggering 2,000 horsepower. propelling the aircraft to a top speed of 455 miles per hour, or 732 kilometers per hour, while enabling it to reach a remarkable climb rate of 4,800 feet per minute. In fact, in 1946, the Bearcat set a record, climbing to 10,000 feet in just 94 seconds. For this plane, they simply thought of everything. Its hydraulically operated landing gear provided stability on carrier decks, while innovative weight reduction measures ensured unmatched maneuverability. Throw all this together with a splash of aviation magic, and somehow, despite its light build, the Bearcat was designed to be a formidable interceptor. And when we say formidable, we mean it in every way. Armed with 4 50 caliber machine guns, or in later variants, 20mm cannons. This plane provided the devastating firepower needed for air-to-air combat. And to make it scarier, the aircraft's operational range of approximately 1,105 miles allowed it to execute interception missions effectively without frequent refueling. For all who saw it in action, one thing was clear. The engineers at Grumman had pushed the boundaries of innovation, speed, power, and efficiency, creating one of the fastest and most agile piston engine fighters ever to grace the skies. So, with all this power, why isn't the Grumman F8F Bearcat spoken about like other famous World War II planes, like the Lockheed P-38 Lightning, the Hawker Hurricane, or even its predecessor, the Grumman F4F Wildcat? Well, stay tuned to find out. Now, although the guys back at Grumman had managed to create the perfect fighting machine for the time, they were a little too late. You see, by the time the Bearcat rolled off production lines, the war was ending, meaning it arrived too late to tangle with Zeros or Messerschmitts. But that didn't mean it didn't have enough time to make a name for itself. While the Grumman F8F Bearcat missed the prime time of World War II, it quickly found its moments in the spotlight during the confusing years that followed. The Bearcat's first taste of combat came during the French Indochina War, where it was handed off to French forces desperately in need of air superiority in the region. For this mission, nearly 200 Bearcats, robust and agile, became a vital part of the French air power, roaring over dense jungles and mountainous terrain to provide close air support for ground troops. Upon getting their hands on these planes, French pilots couldn't stop talking about their ability to handle rough combat scenarios. They especially praised its agility and firepower against the Viet Minh forces, though the challenging conditions of the conflict tested even the Bearcat's legendary resilience. Although in the end the French pulled out of Indochina, the Bearcat did so well that a pilot quite literally said, "We relied on the Bearcat to provide cover for our ground forces, and it performed admirably in those roles." While another said, "The Bearcat was a joy to fly, responsive and powerful. It was among the best piston-powered fighters of its time." And once again, the aircraft story didn't end there, as it found a second lease on life with the South Vietnamese Air Force. These aircraft played a significant role in the early stages of the Vietnam conflict, providing crucial air support in counterinsurgency operations against communist forces. Though often overshadowed by the emergence of jet fighters, the Bearcat proved a reliable workhorse, maintaining a presence in the skies during the transition to the jet age. Beyond the battlefield, the Bearcat excelled in another arena, performance. And as anyone would expect, it joined the Blue Angels in 1946, dazzling audiences with acrobatic feats that showcased its unmatched maneuverability and raw speed. Pilots reveled in its crisp handling, pushing the aircraft to its limits in jaw-dropping aerial displays. But when the end seemed near for this insane aircraft, that was when it truly rose to glory, all thanks to air racing. Stripped down and modified for sheer speed, it dominated competitions, setting records and earning its place as a legend of the skies. In fact, the Rare Bear, a highly modified Bearcat, became an icon in its own right, blazing past competitors and leaving its mark on aviation history. Though the Bearcat never saw action in the Korean War, its reputation endured as a symbol of Grumman's engineering prowess, and a testament to what might have been had it arrived just a little earlier. So, where is the Grumman F8F Bearcat today? All good things must come to an end, they say, and the Bearcat's retirement was tied to several factors, with the most significant being the advent of jet propulsion. Jets like the F9F Panther and F2H Banshee were just too much and quickly surpassed piston engine fighters in speed, altitude, and combat effectiveness, making the Bearcat basically obsolete. While the Bearcat could reach speeds of over 400 miles per hour and was a technical marvel of its time, it just couldn't compete with the advanced jet technology that began to dominate the skies in the early 1950s. Not to mention, the Bearcat never truly had the opportunity to prove itself in combat. Introduced too late in World War II, it missed the conflict entirely, with its squadrons only being formed after the war ended. The limited combat exposure further diminished its operational relevance. And as if that wasn't bad enough, the Bearcat also faced rising operational costs and complexities. Jets, on the other hand, required less manpower and maintenance, and as such, quickly became the preferred choice as air forces transitioned into the jet age. Though the Bearcat's time on the front lines was short-lived, its legacy did not end with its retirement. Today, only a few Bearcats remain, preserved in aviation museums or kept in airworthy conditions by private owners. Some notable locations where you can see these surviving aircraft include the Planes of Fame Air Museum in Chino, California, the Palm Springs Air Museum, the National Naval Aviation Museum in Pensacola, Florida, and the Fighter Collection in Duxford, England. While it may not have gotten the chance to be a combat hero, the Grumman F8F Bearcat remains an enduring symbol of aviation innovation, remembered and celebrated in museums and air shows, where it continues to inspire admiration. So, what do you think? Could the Grumman F8F Bearcat have been the best American fighter of World War II, or was it simply a case of bad timing? Would it have changed the course of history if it had been introduced earlier? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're fascinated by the untold stories of iconic aircraft and want to explore more hidden gems of aviation history, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Stay curious, keep flying high, and as always, we'll see you in the skies.